India's crude oil imports from Russia are expected to have risen slightly in October 2025 from the previous month. Preliminary ship tracking data from Kpler and OilX show India defying pressure from Washington to cut purchases continues to import oil from Russia. India's Russian oil imports rose to about 1.48 million barrels per day or BPD in October from 1.44 million BPD in September, Kpler data showed, whereas OilX pegged October imports at the same level and said September imports were 1.43 million BPD. OilX data excluded oil from Kazakhstan that was also exported from Russia. But this is about to decrease. Trade and refining sources claim that India's Russian oil imports are set to hit their lowest in at least 3 years in December 2025. That would be a down from multi-months high in November as refiners turn to alternatives to avoid breaching Western sanctions. The Russian president and the Indian Prime Minister will work together to salvage the situation. Russia invaded Ukraine in February of 2024 and the world, or rather America and its allies in Europe, were united in cornering Russia. Other than the economic sanctions, that was very little the West could do to push Vladimir Putin to back down, because Putin had the key power to maneuver energy. Little by little, the West and European Union in particular tried to wean themselves off Russian energy, causing Russian ruble to lose its shine. Vladimir Putin turned to his old friends, China and India. Despite severe criticism, India bought more than twice as much crude oil from Russia in the 2 months since its invasion of Ukraine as it did in the whole of 2021. Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar time and again defended India's decision, sometimes even went into offensive batting as well.
What looks almost like a campaign on this issue. Now, I was just reading a report today that in the month of March, Europe has bought, I think, 15% more oil and gas from Russia than it did the month before.
Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems.
India bought crude oil worth $25.5 billion from Russia in 2022. It nearly doubled to $48.6 billion in 2023 and rose to $52.7 billion in 2024. Donald Trump came back to the Oval Office in January 2025, and from the very beginning, he started to use tariffs as punitive measures. India has been slapped by the USA with an additional 25% tariff for buying crude oil from Russia.
Atmavishwas, or self-confidence. As the most populous nation, as a civilizational state, as a rapidly growing major economy, we are confident about who we are and what we will be. Bharat will always maintain its freedom of choice and will always be a voice of the Global South.
Russia faces a tough challenge under the circumstances, and India is in a tight spot. Bureau Report, India Today.